Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to discuss shielded newsletters and how one can send these via shielded memo using the new Z3 stack. For those who don't know, the new Z3 stack includes Zbrad, Zainod, and Zallet. And Zallet is the wallet, the command line wallet that will be used. Zainod is an indexer. And obviously Zbrad is the full node for the Zcash ecosystem. So the first thing we need to do is fire up Zbrad. I have already done this. So let me show you. I have this running in a screen so that I can do other things while it's running in the background. So we'll screen our Zebra. We got a fully synced Zebra ready to go. And now we need to fire up our Zallet. So let me create a new screen for this. We'll call it Zallet. And whoops. We're going to actually, let me find my command here. There we go. Copy. Zallet. Okay, so what is this doing? I have a Zallet folder in my documents that I get cloned from the Zcash wallet repo that's available, and I am telling it to use a specific Zallet TOML file, which is configured with the following: trusted confirmations and untrusted confirmations. I manually set these to 1 as a demo. The way this script works is once the first memo is sent out, if you didn't set this, you'd have to wait 10 confirmations before the next transaction could be spent or sent. So in production, obviously this would need to be changed, but for the demo, this is how I'm running it. And on the consensus part, we want main features, just as a version, just put that 000. Indexer, it needs a validator address, so I'm using localhost. And on my Zbrad, I have it set to use the RPC at localhost using port 8232. And I also on the Zcash or the Zebra TOML for the Zbrad node, I have it set to use validator cookies. So that's why I'm also setting that in the Zallet file. And so the location and the Boolean values need to match for both the Zallet and the Zbrad.toml file. And then the last part is the database path for Zainod. So you don't need Zainod to be running, but it does need to be fully synced. So I'm not going to show that here, but once you compile Zainod and get that fully synced, you can stop it, tell the Zallet config file here where that database is located, and it'll do the rest. And that's what this is here for. Require backup is false. This is just so that we don't have to do the required backup. And then for the RPC that we're going to be using, Zallet by default right now as an alpha doesn't include the RPC, so you have to compile that with Cargo with the RPC server specifically. And once you do that, you include this RPC section with bind, and you want a localhost, and notice the port is different from the one that Zbrad uses. And then lastly, there's a few methods that I require in my script that Zallet hasn't built out yet. So I'm going to use Zbrad for that. And to access those, I'm going to use 2curl, which is just a wrapper file for curl. And for that, you just need to configure the username, which is in this case cookie, because you're using cookies. And then if you open that file with a say mouse pad, you can get your password in that file and just paste it here, and paste that into the password section of that script. All right. So, and then let's go ahead and fire up Zallet here. Okay. So now that Zallet is running, we're going to close that screen. And we're going to do this test RPC. So what this is doing is we are telling Zallet to run the RPC help. And what you'll see here is all the RPCs that Zallet is currently supporting. So we're working. So again, we have Zbrad fully synced. We have a indexer that's been fully synced, and Zallet is configured to access both in a way that we can use for an application. So next up, I need to go to my other window here. We notice how certain files are green, and that means it's executable. So when you first run this, you're going to need to change mod +X and then list all the files. So ASCII, hex, shield, TX builder, and I think Zallet is already, but you can do Zallet again. Just make sure those are all green. And all right, so now the next thing to check is the DAO address.md file. So let me mousepad that. And this is simply a list of UAs that you want to use for this application. So if there's multiple, you do just one after the other. So assuming these are different, it looked like this. And it can be any UA you want. It can even be a Z address or a T address, as long as the Z send many RPC is acceptable for that method. So we're going to keep it with just the single for now, which is my UA to my Y wallet. And the last thing we need to do is open up the TX builder script. Mousepad TX builder. And we need to adjust the from variable here. So think of this as the source of funds for the script. So in this case, I have already plugged it into the UA that is in my Zallet, and I've sent funds to that already. All right, to check the balance real quick, you will run the RPC Z underscore get total balance. You tell it the account 0, and you have to put true for the watch only flag of this as of the alpha. There we go. As you can see, we have 0.03 ZEC, so enough to run this application. So back to our README here. So now that we set the source of funds, and we just need to choose a newsletter, or it could be whatever you want. I'm demoing a newsletter. It could also be text that you want to send. to a bunch of folks whose UAs you currently have in your file. So let me show you what I'm about to send, which is my newsletter. So this is an example of a stripped down newsletter that's purely text-based. And we're going to send this via shielded memos. And it should be noted that there's a few bugs in the type of markdown files that don't bug out. I need to work on that. So try to keep the text simple, no emojis for now until we can get those bugs worked out. But okay, so now that we see what it's going to be sent, it'll break it into chunks, and let's run it. Right, read it into 512 chunks, convert it into hex, spit it out. There'll be 10 different memos due to the size of the file. Send it to Zallet. You get a op ID. It'll read whether it's a success or a failure. If it's a success, it'll spit out the transaction ID right here, and it'll also show you the remaining balance of your funds. And up to this point, it will wait for the transaction to be mined. And this is exactly what the 2curl wrapper will be used for. It uses the zbrad get info RPC to make sure it's been mined one time. After it has been mined one time, it goes to the next memo. So now we're in memo 1, and it repeats this 10 times until all of the document has been sent via zsendMany. And we can check these. Here's a shielded transaction. 6BF3C. There it is. 6BF3C. All right, guys. I hope this has been educational. We have used zbrad, we have used Zainod, and we have used Zallet to send shielded memos to a potentially unlimited number of UAs in a unique way. A lasting thought here. Using Zallet isn't the only option available in the Zcash ecosystem. You can also use Zingo CLI. And in fact, a shielded contributor which I won't say who, has told me they are creating an application that is GUI based that uses Zcash or Zingo Clade, and it will use the same core functionality that I just showed you, but in a GUI form, so that it's more accessible to non-technical folks. So be on the lookout for that. And thanks for watching, guys. And remember, privacy is normal.